Hello everyone. Welcome to the Out of the Box Developer. Today we're gonna have our guest, and I just put him here already, so I just put take out here. But okay, that's fine. So I just want to say hello and welcome Nitin Avula. He would be our guest today to talk about Java 26 in the trenches. So there are new features and art of staying current. That's a interesting thing because and today it's quite challenging, right? So many things guys being updated going on, and it's a challenge for everyone in our field. But before we start here, let me just say hello to our board here. So hello, Chila, how are you?
Hello, Hugo. Hello, Tiago. And first of all, hello, Nitin. Nice to have you here. I'm very happy to be here today with all of you. And also, good afternoon or good evening to our audience who is joining us today. Today, we will be talking about Java, new features of Java 26. So, we have talked so much about the AI and agents. So I think it's also very good that right now we have got a short pause and we touch on a topic which is also very important. We talk about Java and the new features. So looking forward to it.
Excellent. Yes, we're gonna be talking about 26. Actually, I couldn't even take a look on the features that will be shipped on 26. So that would be awesome for me to get updated as well. I will use this session to update myself. But yeah, let me say hello to Thiago as well. Hey, Thiago, how are you?
Hello, I'm great and very excited to hear more about the news of Java. We use a lot, so it's good to know the new features. And my company we use Java 25, and yeah, we use many features from the newest versions of Java and know more about the new features and keep updated. I think it's very important. So yeah, very excited.
Cool. Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. I see Luis send a message here. Hello, Luis. Great to have you here. So Nichin, he is watching us today. And yeah, before we jump into the topic, let me just give room for you, Nitin, to introduce yourself for those that doesn't know you very well, and tell a bit about your backgrounds and things, curiosities about you. I think it will be interesting to share.
Sure, Hugh. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. So I'm Nitin Avla. I have like more than 20 years of experience, and I've been working in Java and Java related technologies. I was a developer back in India for 10 years, so I moved to US in 2017, and I've been working in US for the past 10 years. So I recently joined as a senior principal staff engineer for Social Security Administration, the government of US. So yeah, it's going on well.
Excellent. So what they're telling is that they use Java for social security in the US.
Yes, they use Java. They are heavily on Java. They want to modernize that. Currently, we are at Java 17, and few applications are on 21. So we have the microservices, but still the benefits is still in mainframe. So they want to bring it to modernize and get it to microservices. So that is what I am currently working on.
Cool. Excellent. That's a great thing to know these days. Yeah. Uh,
Yes.
and yes. So what? How would you like to start this discussion meeting? Do you have I do you want to talk about specific features? Do you want to how do you want to introduce those this topic today?
Yeah, so I recently did a presentation on Java 26, at Philly Java Usage Group. So I will run through that presentation. So my presentation covers the all the JAPs in Java 26, and also I upgraded it to cover a few JAPs from the Java 27 as well, because Java 27 release is down the line September 15th. So I have updated it to cover few JAPs from Java 27 as well.
Oh, it's close already to the to release 27 as well.
Right.
Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
But do you want to share a presentation or
Yes.
it? Yeah.
I,
Okay. Cool. Let's jump into then. I see Andres send a message here. Hey guys, a bit fresh air between all the AI stuff. Yeah, that's true, man. we talk all the time about AI. These days, it's difficult to not talk about AI. But yeah, today let's talk a bit about Java latest features, and also we already had an interesting use case that Nathan shared us. They use already Java for they still use Java for the social security. That's interesting thing. Let me
yes.
see. Yeah.
I want to like give you a brief background also how I choose Java 26. The leader Greg at the Philly Java user group, he wanted me to choose a topic which was not related to AI. So that's how I ended up choosing Java 26.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So it was guided for to be talking about 26. Great.
yeah, right.
I hope everyone is can see your screen now. So yeah, go ahead. The stage is yours, Nitin.
Yeah, so my presentation, I would be talking about the Java 26 features first. I will cover the non-JEP features in Java 26. Then I will move to the JEPs in Java 26. There are around 10 JEPs I will cover in Java 26. In my while I'm covering the JEPs, I will have some code examples as well. We will go through the code and I will ask questions like will it compile. Uh, so after that, I will briefly cover the new JEPs in Java 27. Then I will talk about the art of staying current. Now, because of the frequent releases, I will give you some approaches how you can update yourself.
Cool.
So, so before we start, so Java 26 is a short-term release. It's a non-LTS release, but a lot of people will think that it's not an LTS release. I can skip it, but the truth is Java 26 brings massive upgrades for HTTP. So it brings HTTP client 3 and concurrency and language performance. And another point I want to point out is when we say that LTS and non-LTS, it only applies to the compiled binary. So be it from Oracle, Microsoft, or Amazon, the LTS will apply only to the binary, not the actual JDK.
That's cool to know. I was the I was the guy in the myth about it's no LTS, and it's interesting and it's true nowadays. We have these updates every 6 months, and then the most important part is to keep updating. So yeah, maybe it's less impact than before about looking at LTS, right? If you are
Right.
keeping updated.
Yes, right. So moving on, some cool observations I want to point out. Java 25 was released in the year 25. 26 was released in 26. That's it. I don't think we will have this coincidence again going forward. And another cool thing is Java 24 had total of 24 JEPs in it.
That's interesting. I didn't know as well.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that as well. Cool.
Yes. Yes, that's right, because Java 24 was a version with the most JEPs after
Ye-
introducing this
Yes,
6 month
yes.
cadence.
Yeah, even I didn't know that. I had to do some digging, and I found out that it had 24 japs, and it was a lot. So I want to before we continue, go through the state of the Java report. It was published by Azure in 2025. The purple color ones are the long-term support versions, and I would like to point out that Java 21 had like 31% of respondents on Java 21. So it's good that a lot of people have the confidence to upgrade to the latest version. And 17 was at 34, 11 was at 23. I would like to point out to these three versions here, Java 8 and below. Java 8, still 23% of people are on Java 8. 7 on Java 7, around 13%, and Java 6, we have around 10%. These are long-term support releases, so they still get the maintenance patches. But I just wanted to point out that we still have a fairly large number of people using Java 8 and below.
This is for 2025.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was for the 2025. It was released by Azure. I think the numbers might have changed now, but overall, I wanted to give
Mhm.
you an idea.
Yeah, but as expected, because we had this tradition, right, to keep at least on the LTS. So and we can clearly see here as
Mm,
it's
right, yes.
prioritized. Yeah, excellent.
Before we jump to the JEPs in Java 26, I wanted to talk about the features which were introduced as which don't have a JEP associated with them. One of them is native dark theme support for Java doc. So finally, we have the dark theme. I am a big fan of dark theme. You can see my presentation is in the dark mode. So we have for the Java doc. I just wanted to give a brief introduction observation here. So this is the Java 26. So you can see that you can select the light or the dark or the system setting for the Java documentation. Uh, I thought this was just a CSS change. So, but interestingly, if you go back to 25, it doesn't have that. Only Java 26 has the dark theme support. That's strange. I thought it's just a CSS thing, and you could like retrospectively apply to Java doc versions 25 too, but no, they have decided to only do for 26. Uh, and the next one is they have introduced the support for the UUID version 7. So this is the latest version of UUID where they have a timestamp, Unix timestamp in the UUID, so you can use it as a key in your table, and it's naturally sortable. Then in the record, the hash code had some optimization. And then if you have a collection, an array list, and you are adding to a collection using add all, that method has been improved for performance. And then we have the Unicode 16 support as part of Java 26. Then the default initial heap size was trimmed down, so the initial RAM percentage. Uh, so what was happening before Java 26 was when you don't specify that flag, the JVM was allocating 1 by 64th of the physical RAM. So if you had like a 64 GB RAM, it would allocate 1 GB by default. So if, let's say you are running a small application, you don't need that much RAM, it was waste of resources. So from Java 26, they are allocating only like 0.2% of the physical RAM. This would means that the application would start up fast, and you would save cost when you deploy to an cloud. So I will talk about the JEPs, and I will have some code examples. You can ask questions, and it's just for fun. So the first JEP I want to talk about is JEP 517 HTTP3 support for the HTTP client API. So what it means is HTTP3 now uses Quick over UDP protocol. Earlier, HTTP2 was using TCP/IP protocol. TCP was introduced way back in 1976, if I am correct, and then TCP/IP was introduced in 1979. So now the HTTP client uses Quick protocol over UDP, and it means that if you have like two dependent microservices and you are using HTTP client to communicate between them, then you will see an increased performance if you use HTTP client 3. And would like to point out that if the server is not supporting HTTP client 3, then it would like default to the previous version, whichever the server supports HTTP 2 or HTTP 1.1. Let's go over some code examples. So I'm building a client. This is how you can build a HTTP3 client. So they have added the support for HTTP3. Then you have a request. I am making a request using to a URL which only supports HTTP 1.1. So if I print the response version, what do you think would be printed here?
Mm. Mm. 1.1?
Yes, as I
Okay.
was previously telling, if this server doesn't support the newest HTTP client 3, you won't get like an exception. It will be defaulted back to 1.1 or 2, the version which the server supports.
Oh, makes sense, right? It's the responses from the server. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, y-
Good to be consistent.
yeah. This is for the compatibility, so it will be like forward compatible. So even if the server doesn't support and you are trying to use the HTTP client, it won't break your code, but internally it would be like fall back to the server version which it supports. So in this example, I am building a client with the HTTP3. Notice here, I am making a call to an HTTP resource, not the encrypted one. So if I print the version, what would we?
Uh, but the server localhost.
Yeah,
Did you
it's
say?
it's localhost, but it's not like the encrypted. The URL
Yeah.
is HTTP, not HTTPS.
I don't have any ideas, right? So I don't know if Chila and Thiago would like to try it out. I think it's 3. I don't know if HTTP3 it's only for HTTPS or by it's required to be HTTPS or just support also HTTP?
Yeah, you kind of answered your own question. The HTTP3 requires the resource to be
Yes.
encrypted. It should
Mhm.
be HTTPS. You can't have a HTTP3 over a non-encrypted HTTP. So in this case, the answer would be like either HTTP 2 or 1.1, whatever the server supports in
Mm.
1.3.
Cool, cool. Good to know.
Hmm.
Thanks. I'm learning today. Learning
Yeah,
day.
yeah. So
Thank you.
going on. So here I am building a client with a HTTP version as 1.1,
Mm.
but the request I'm making to an URL which is an encrypted one, and as well as I'm overriding the version here saying as HTTP client 3. Then I'm building and I'm making I'm sending the response. I'm sending the request. So the response I'm getting back, I'm printing the response version. So what do you think will be the version printed here?
Good question. I would say 3.
Me too. And
Yes.
why? Because the server supports 3 and you put in the request 3. Even if I do say client version it's 1.1, I on the request I say 3, and the response of the server is, if it supports HTTP3, it should be 3 as well. The response, independent of the class, right?
Yes, you are correct. The request takes precedence over the client. So this is a very good architectural concept which was introduced. So basically, you can have if you have a server URLs which are like supported by HTTP3, and you have a client which is on either 1.1 or 2, you can use the same client, but you can override the version and make it HTTP3, and then you can send the request. So I think this is a very good architectural decision taken by the JDK developers.
I have a question. If I haven't specified the version on the HTTP on the request, then I would be 101.
Yes, right. You since the client is for HTTP 1.1, and you are not overriding it in the request, so in that case, the response would be using HTTP 1.1.
Cool, cool.
So
Great.
moving,
Good exercise.
yeah, thank you. So moving on to the next JAP, we have JAP 526, which talks about the lazy constants. It's in the second preview. So earlier, this was introduced as stable values in Java 25. They changed it to lazy constants to have a uh, um, better naming to align with the feature they are introducing. So what it does is it's basically like an enum. The value of the constant will not be evaluated until the runtime. So it's like an lazy evaluation of the constants.
I just see that Andres also mentioned a reply 3 on the last exercise, but yeah, just to add here his
Okay.
comment.
Yeah.
Well, but okay, we can go ahead.
Yeah. So I was telling that it was called stable values. Even the class names were called as stable values, but they now changed it to lazy constants in Java 26, and it's in the second preview. So, so if you have a code like this in Java 26, let's say the scenario here is I have downloaded the latest version of JDK and installed on my machine and trying to run this particular piece of code. Do you think will it compile?
Sorry, what is the question?
So my question is, downloaded the late Java 26 on my machine and I have installed it, and I'm trying to run this particular piece of code. So will it compile?
Yeah, it depends. I think you need to enable the preview features.
Yes, you are right. This is in the second preview, so you have to enable the preview using the enable preview. Then it would compile. In this case, you will get when you say db.get, you will get the instance of the database, and it won't be like evaluated until runtime until you say the get. It will be lazily evaluated. Uh, so yeah, another example, I am having a lazy constant here called heavy config. I'm using lazy constant dot off, and then I'm having a lambda wherein I'm making a call to the database. Uh, let's assume that when I say the get config, uh, so what? And let's assume that we have enabled the preview for flag. How many times would be the sysout here would be printed?
The idea is to see one time, because the feature of lazy constant is to just initialize lazy, right? So once initialized, it doesn't have to re-initialize again. I think that's the purpose, right?
Yes, then that's exactly what.
Cool.
So here it would be like even for you are having 10 threads and they are trying to get the config, so it will be like printed only once. Once the values are assigned, you cannot change the values.
I'm curious, but the implementation is to see if this is initialized or no, and then and then just call or not call with that, because we do usually do that if we want to uh,
Yeah,
initialize some constant, right?
yeah. So
Manually.
I would like talk about that more when I go to the Java 27 future.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So there has been some changes to the lazy constants in Java 27, and I would talk to when we reach to that particular site.
Excellent.
Going forward, I would talk about a few depths related to the Project Leiden and the Hotspot JVM enhancements. So these two JEPs are related to the JVM. So JEP 522 says covers about the uh, throughput improvement by reducing synchronization for G1 GC. So what does it mean is I would like to talk a brief about the garbage collection, particularly the G1 GC. So we have the old generation and the new generation, and generation itself is further divided into regions. And what the JVM would do is it will maintain a list of references to all the objects in the particular region. So when JVM decides that uh, it is the particular region is eligible for garbage collection, instead of like scanning the whole heap, uh, it would maintain the references of the objects in a like a list. It's called as card table. So at the card table, it will make the references. So, but the problem was the both the application threads which were writing to the card table and the GC threads which were reading from the card table. It was causing a synchronization problem. So for the lock. So to improve that, what they decided was they have introduced a second card table, which is like a copy. So the application threads will write to one card table, and the GC threads will read from the copy of that card table. So there will be no less synchronization problem here. And when the JVM decides the region is eligible for garbage collection, they would swap these card tables. And then that's how they have improved the performance. So I think it was around 15 to 20% improvement in the garbage collections.
I have I have Andres here a comment regarding to lazy constant. Is a better name than the stable values. I agree with him. It's very clear what's the idea for that. And he mentioned a interesting thing that it would be preferred if lazy constant were something native for the language instead of a object that we have to call get on every use. Yeah, I kind of think it's if it would be part of the standard thing, it's interesting to have in the language so you don't have to do this
Hmm.
explicit call, right, for the method.
Yes, even I agree that the stable values was not a good name for that, and glad that they have changed it to lazy constants in Java 26.
Cool.
So moving on, JEP 516 is about ahead of time object caching with any GC. So basically, this ahead of time object caching was supported by uh, the other GCs like the G1 GC or the serial GC, but it was not supported by G1 GC. So what they did was they got this ahead of time object caching support for G1 GC as well as part of this chip.
Cool.
So we moving on. This is JAP 525, which is about structured concurrency, which is in the sixth preview. It's related to the project Loom. Um, so earlier we used to have like a executor, and then if you had to like have two tasks, uh, one task would finish, then the other task. Uh, if you have like two tasks, it was very difficult to manage those two tasks as a single unit. So using such structured concurrency, you can like create a scope and have those two tasks, and then you can have either both of them finished, or if one of them finished, then you can roll back the other one. So it's very easy. So this is in the sixth preview. So here is the code example. I have a try block with resources. I'm creating a structured scope. So I'm saying shutdown on failure, which means either both the subtasks will complete, or if one of them throws exception, it would come out of the scope and it will not come. Like the subtask, both the task will not be completed. So after the scope, I'm forking the sub. I'm like making a subtask here, wherein I'm like I want to simulate a network call. I'm sleeping for 100 milliseconds, and then I'm returning a string here. So if then I'm doing this task.get here, and then I'm joining this scope. So would you think this particular code will compile?
Uh,
What do you feel,
it,
Java?
I think it will work. We have the thread sleep, uh, but it will work and it will print. Mm, wait, not sure. Yeah, I think it. Not sure if the test.get will return the string or not. The join will wait for the result. But yeah, I think it will work. It will print the user knitting.
No, it will throw an illegal argument exception here, because the reason is you have to first join the scope before doing the get.
Okay.
So if this sys out, it will come out below the scope, then it will work. But if not, it will not work.
Mm. Okay, so it will raise an exception. It will be
Yeah, and
interrupted.
illegal state exception here,
Illegal state. Okay,
because
because
yeah,
of
because
yeah,
you are
makes
not,
sense.
the subtask is not part of the scope yet, because you have not set scope.join. Then you are trying to get the result from the task, then it's an illegal state exception.
I see. I see. I see. I see. Oh, okay, makes sense.
uh, so moving on, we have another JAP, JAP 524, which is talks about the PEM encoding of cryptographic objects, which is in the second preview. Uh, this is one of the JAP which I am very much interested in. So what it means is, uh, PEM stands for private enhanced mailing. So when you have like a cryptographic object, a certificate or a key, earlier, when you want to like read that and do, it was very difficult. You had to like, let me show you an example. This is an example PEM data. So this is the header here, begin public key, and the end publicly, and the actual value here. So earlier you had to read this as a string, and then remove the header manually yourself, like use the string utils, and then replace it with an empty string. Similarly, the header part and the uh, footer part, you have to replace it. So it was very tedious to do the operations, or else you would have to use an third party jar to do that. Uh, so now they have natively added support to read the cryptographic objects in the JDK itself. So, so let's say you have a PEM data which is a public key, and you can like use the PEM uh, encoder or a decoder. So I'm using a PEM decoder here to decode the PEM data. So so my question is, this is my code. I have the PEM data. I'm using the uh, algorithm as an RSA algorithm here, and I'm trying to decode it. And then if I print the algorithm used, key dot algorithm, what would be the output here? Would it compile?
Don't know. I think it will compile. I don't think there is any compile issue here, but I don't know if this will work. If you're going to have a runtime exception or not. Not sure.
You have to enable the
Ah,
preview.
okay.
This is in second preview, so you have to enable the preview. So if you enable the preview, then yes, RSA would be printed, because we are using that RSA algorithm here. Mm,
But it will compile and it will the algorithm. Okay, the algorithm would be the RSA.
Yes, RSA.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Moving on, we have JAP 500, which is to prepare to make final means final. Um, so all these years we have been lied upon. When we initialize something as final, it's not actually final. You can use like a deep reflection to go and change the value of the final object. So they want to stop it using this JAP. So if for example I have a private final string environment as production here, and inside my main I am using the deep reflection, and then I am setting the set accessible as true for that particular field, and then I'm going and doing the um, overriding it as development. So when I try to print the value of the field, what do you think would be printed?
So, well, I don't know the behavior. I don't know if the when you set the config with a new value, it will raise an exception, or it lets you edit, but when you or lets you do the set, but doesn't change the value. Don't know.
I think.
I think it should raise an exception. I don't
Uh,
know.
no, actually,
Yeah.
it depends. It, not, it depends on the flag here.
Oh,
So when
so
we
I don't
print,
get flags. Okay.
so we have these values for the flag. So by default in Java 26 they have put it as 1. So what would happen here is it would give a warning, but the overall value of the environment will be changed to development. So the development would be printed, but it would give a big warning like this, saying that you are
Hmm.
trying to
Mm.
override the value of a final.
Makes sense.
So
Okay.
I would like to briefly go about the other options. Allow would allow silently for backward compatibility, so it won't print out the warning here.
Mhm.
Another is deny. I think this will be the future default, wherein you can't like use deep reflection to change the value of a final. Uh, and then we have something like debug. Debug is like one, but it will print a full uh, stack trace of the warning. So this is important. I would just want to like briefly talk uh, sorry, about so one of the question which I was asked about in during my presentation was how will I know in my code where deep reflection was used. So the best way to do is you have to enable this flag, the debug flag, so it will print the stack trace, and then you can use JFR to run your flight recording, and then you can print and inspect the capture event. So we have uh, an event for final field mutation called jdk.final field mutation. So from the JFR, you can like capture all the events. Then it will give you all the places in your code where they are using deep reflection. And as I was uh, talking that in the future they might deny it, so it's better to identify the places where you are using this and try to change that behavior now itself.
Yeah, makes sense. I usually don't like to have the options because then it's difficult to maintain. But in this case, for backward compatibility, it makes sense to not
Yeah,
just deny it
yeah,
and you stop working lots of applications that
yeah.
might use it. Okay.
Yeah, yes, actually, like many ORM frameworks like Hibernate use deep reflection.
Yeah.
Spring
Yeah.
uses deep reflection, but
Yeah.
knowing Java, I don't think they would immediately deny it. They would allow users to have changes to their code, and it will be down the line in further JDK releases. They would deny this one.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Warn
Mm.
is a good
Yeah,
a good start, right?
right, right. Yes.
Doesn't
So,
break anything, and
yeah,
okay, you're doing it. You shouldn't be doing it. Okay,
right,
but and I'm
exactly.
telling you, cool.
Yes. So moving on, here another code example. I have a public static final int max users as 10. Then the same thing I'm using the deep reflection. I am setting the set accessible as true and overriding it as 9999. When I do the sysout, what would be the output here? Max users allowed, will it be 10? Will it be 9999? Will it compile? Assume that we have enabled the preview flag.
but it falls in the same. Depends on the configuration of we set. Like
Yeah, I also assume that the
Uh, uh,
flag is a warning.
okay, okay.
Accessible.
I don't know. I think it is still 10 or we are going to have an error. I don't think it will change to 999.
Yes, you are right. The answer would be 10 will be printed. There will be a warning printed because you have the flag as 1 here. But still the answer will max users allowed 10 it will be because what's happening is this um,
Primitive.
is an integer primitive type. So the JVM will see that it's a final integer 10. So something called as constant folding will occur here, and then even though you are like overriding 10 to 9999 at the byte code which is compiled, the value is directly replaced with 10 here. So that is called as constant folding. Constant folding is not introduced as part of 26, it was already present. So that's the reason actually one of the reasons the JDK want to stop like overriding of final because um, it's confusing, right? For a string you can do it, for an int you can't do it.
Okay, okay, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's a challenge in details. I haven't thought, but makes sense. It's
Yeah,
more consistent, right? This behavior.
right.
Cool.
So, moving on to the next example, um, I I would like to point out that this is the user is not a class but a record here. I have only one field in it, username. So when I instantiate user, I am using as admin, but I am using the deep reflection set accessible as true and changing it to hacker and trying to print the user.username. What would you think would be printed out here?
This is a good question. I'm not sure, but I think we should have an error, some exception, something like that. A runtime error.
Yes, you are right. You will get an illegal access exception because by default records are immutable. So you can't use deep reflections on a record to go and change the value. So it doesn't matter you if your flag is set to on or allow or deny. Uh, Records are by default immutable. So once the value is assigned, you cannot use reflection to go and change the value. So moving on, uh, we have JAP 529, which is of about vector API, which is in 11th incubator. Uh, you might ask why is it still in 11th incubator? Because we are waiting on the release of the project Valhalla value objects for it to be finalized. But I don't think project Valhalla is ready for JDK. Not exactly in JDK 27. I think 28, maybe 29. I'm not sure. But so what Vector API talks about is uh, uh, something called as SIMD, single instruction multiple data. So let's assume you are doing like uh, you have an addition operation going on. but you have multiple values like an array of array A and array B, and you are trying to add. So earlier, like you had to like loop through the array and get each element and then add. But using a single instruction multiple data, you can have add those two arrays at a time. But again, it depends on the processor which you are using. So if you, let's say your processor supports eight eight integers processing at a time. So in a single clock cycle, CPU clock cycle, you can add like eight uh, integers. So from array A, you can pick eight elements, and from array B, you can pick like eight elements, and you can add them in a single clock cycle. So this is part of the vector API. Uh, my question here is, so I have a simple program here. I'm importing the vector API, and then I'm just printing ready to use single instruction multiple data. Do you think will this program compile?
Not without switching on the module because it's an incubator.
Yes, you are right. You have to like use the flag to enable it, the incubator flag, and the uh, uh, because this is part of a different namespace. The incubator uh, works a little bit different than the preview feature. This will be present part of the names different namespace. So once they are finalized, they will move from the incubator to the actual namespace, either Java or the Java X namespace. Uh, Then we have JUP 530, which is related to the project Amber, which talks about the primitive types in patterns, instance of and switch. It's in the fourth preview. So earlier in a switch exception, you could not use you could use like only integers. Now you can use like long and other primitive types. So here is my code. I have a user ID, then I have a switch expression, uh, and if I run this, do you think will it compile? And what would be the output here?
If types on user ID.
I think it will work and will print standard user and this big number.
No, because this is in the preview. We have to enable.
Okay, yeah.
But you are right. Assuming that the preview flag is enabled, it will print standard user and this big number. So another example is I have an integer temperature as 1000. Remember the byte size max size is 127. So what I'm doing as part of this JEP, you don't have to typecast it to a byte. You can use directly the instance of over the integer. So if I do this, what would be the output? Assume the preview flag is enabled.
Okay, I think it will evaluate it to false and it will print value does not fit.
Yes, you are right. Yeah, so you can, as I was telling, you can directly, you don't have to typecast it. You can directly use an instance of and check whether it's a byte. So since this value is too big for a byte, it will go to the else, and it will print value does not fit. So moving on, we have JAP 504, the end of an era. Rest in peace, applets. So if I don't know how many of you were like using applets, aware of applets, but applets, I kind of briefly used applets when I started my career. They were like nice. You could do modern like the graphical user interfaces on the browser, but it was hard for them to make them run. So finally, I'm happy that although it was deprecated in Java 9, it took like 17 versions to finally delete it.
17 versions. Yeah. Think about a really backward compatible language, right?
Right.
17.
Yeah, but remember, I showed you in the starting the Java report, 10% of people are still on Java 6.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you expect, yeah. But one thing was no modern web browsers were like supporting them. I think Internet Explorer was the last one, and it went out of maintenance. So it really didn't make sense to keep it for such a long
Yeah.
time. But I assume that few people were still using kind of applets, and they wanted to give them time to migrate. So that's the reason.
Yeah,
It,
sure.
yeah.
I'm totally how can I say? I support a
Mhm.
backward compatibility because in the real world, it's true that it's not everyone that can keep because of any kind of reason, business reason,
Yeah.
budget
Yes.
reason. You can just simply update and keep with the latest one, and that's the reality, right? And being able to keep all this time to give all this time for people to finally migrate, move, or adapt for the new ecosystem. I think it's a good sign of at
Yeah.
least a bit of worrying, caring regarding to the developers or to the
Mhm.
companies that has still use these features, right?
Yeah, I agree. So, uh, sorry about that. So these are the some of the JEPs which are part of the Java 27. I wanted to cover that. So let me. I not able, I think it's a lot of text. It's not able to. I would instead share my presentation here. So if you can see, these are the like there are around 9 JEPs as part of Java 27. So we will be having Java 27 release in 15 September. So we are nearing the Java 27 release, and I just wanted to talk briefly about few JEPs before we move on. So we uh, so uh, let me go back to the presentation. So So as I was telling about lazy constant, so we have JAP 531, which is part of the Java 27, and JAP 526 is in Java 26. So the major uh, improvements in Java 27 is they removed is initialized and or else. So you were earlier asking me, right? We can like check whether it's initialized or not. But they are now as part of Java 27, they have removed this support, and the JVM would do the actual initialization, so you don't have these methods. This is because of the feedback they received, and the actual developer was trying to like do the initialization, the control the initialization part. So they have removed the is initialized and or else methods from the JDK. Now the JVM will only take care of the initialization part. So when you call the get, the the lazy constant would be initialized, and you don't have control over that. I think which is a good thing. Sorry, 1 second. I
Mm.
need to plug in my charger.
Battery, low battery.
Yeah. So, and as part of JDK 26, they initialized the two collections, the list and the map. But we have the for the set in JDK 27, so we have the set of lazy uh, in uh, in JDK 27 as part of JEP 531.
Mm.
Sorry, I think this was not saved. Yep. So we have a we have a JEP 523 which talks about G1GC being the default garbage collector. So earlier, serial GC was the default. So because of the uh, improvements in JDK 26 as part of JEP 522, improving the throughput by having a duplicate card table. Now they have made G1GC as a default garbage collector. So even if it's a single core cloud container, G1 garbage collector would be the default instead of the serial garbage collector. This slide we have already covered about lazy constants. Uh, Then we have JEP 527, which introduces post quantum hybrid key exchange for TLS 1.3. So what it means that uh, if you have a private key, and let's say you are using, for example, RSA algorithm, because of the now quantum computers, they will be easily be able to break that algorithm, the key. They are like introducing as part of this JAP and hybrid key. You can have a algorithm which will be very difficult for even the quantum computers to break it. It's an hybrid key, so it's backward compatible as well. So the existing keys would function as is, but you can have a better, much safer key, which even the quantum computers will not be able to break. So this is one of the JAP which was introduced as part of Java 27, JAP 527. Similarly, JAP 536 is introduced as part of Java 27. So what happens is if you are using JFR or to generate a log of your to for debugging purpose, if you are trying to generate a log and analyze it, it would write everything to the JFR. So even your the sensitive information like the environmental variables will be written to the log. So now, as part of Java 26 and this particular JAP, they will mask the sensitive information directly within the JVM before saving it to the log file. So it will be safe to generate the log file and share it since the sensitive information would be masked. So, JAP, this is another JAP which I want to talk about. 538, the PEM API has been slightly modified. So, the confusing interfaces like DER encodable has been renamed to as binary encodable. And earlier, the PEM was not a class as record. They have changed it to a class now to unlock better byte array constructor. And also they have introduced crypto exception to cut down on the try catch boilerplate. Uh, so before we move on to the approaches to stay current about the Java releases, I want to briefly talk about the enterprise evaluation framework. This particular framework is only for Java 26. I couldn't upgrade it to Java 27. So JAP 516 and 522 would require zero application code changes. But since they have an improvement in the GC, so if you upgrade to Java 26, you will see immediate improvement in your runtime performance. So I would categorize this as a low risk or immediate value. So since you don't require any code application change, it's a low risk, but you can see the improvement, performance improvement by around 15%, roughly speaking. And then I would categorize JAP 517, which is for the HTTP 3 client support. So as a medium risk, high value, because since you have like two microservices and you are using HTTP client to interact between those two dependent microservices, you will see an increased performance. But you have to take care that you explicitly test it thoroughly. So I would categorize it as a medium risk high value. And the high migration impact would be the JAP 500 final means final. This would break legacy libraries, so you have to be careful. You have to audit your code base uh, for the dependencies before migrating. As I briefly covered, you can enable the debug flag so that it will print the stack trace, and then you can generate the log using the JFR, and then you can find the areas where you have this breaking changes. So I will talk about the art of staying current. So we have the 6 month release, which is very uh, which happens very quickly. So I would like to give two particular strategies to upgrade yourself. So stop trying to digest the entire 6 month release over a frantic weekend. So I have done that for interviews and everything. I used to take one particular version and try to cover all the JEPs in that release and all the features in that release uh, in a weekend. But you believe me, you won't retain any information if you do that. So instead of that, the strategy number one, which I would propose, is have a 5 minute JEP rule. Uh, so daily read one particular JEP or a feature which was introduced. So for example, Java 26 have 10 JEPs. So if you are like spending 5 minutes, within 2 or 3 weeks, you will be able to cover all the features in Java 26. So you have to be like consistent, doing 5 minutes a day. If you do it consistently, the 5 minutes would increase to 10 minutes. You might have some interest. You will be spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So it will compound over time. This is one of my strategy I would suggest. And I would also give you uh, a particular this thing. This is a newsletter which I started. So how it started was, I would like to give a background. So I was reviewing my slide before my presentation to the Java user group with Bruno, and Bruno said when we came to this particular slide of having a 5 minute jump, so he said, this is a good idea. You should have like start a newsletter wherein you will be publishing about a particular job, a small write up about a job which the user can read in 5 minutes. So I liked it, and I started a newsletter. This is the QR code for my newsletter. Anyone is interested to subscribing to it, I will be more than happy. So another strategy I would say is follow the project arc. So let's say you take a particular uh, project like Project Loom or Project Amber, and see how it has it has evolution has happened from Java 8 to the present Java 26 or 27. uh, so this way you don't have to like do the context switching. You will be particular uh, project, and then you can see how the syntax has grown over the JDKs. So you will have a better focus, and then you can be able to follow the particular architecture. These are the two strategies I propose. So here I would like to leave you with a quote from one of my favorite authors, James Clear, in the Atomic Habits book, where he says that consistency is uh, is more than the intensity. So if you have small consistent habits, it will compound over time. So you will be able to and as part of my presentation also, you could have seen that since I was able to cover the jabs in Java 26, the jabs in Java 27, like those which were like addition, was not much. So if I could go, like the lazy constant and the structured concurrency. So you have already studied them, which are in the second preview in Java 26. There are like small changes in Java 20 is 27. So you won't have to like spend a lot of time. So and this is a classic example. So I was comparing Java JEP 526 and the JEP 531. So these are only the two changes. So you already know about lazy constants in Java 26. So in Java 27, there are only two changes which are done: the removal of is initialized and or else. So you can study like why these two methods were removed, because they were removed because the user was trying to initialize the lazy constant instead of the JVM. So you have to use get for the initialization, and then they have introduced the third collection set, and map and list were introduced as part of JEP 526. So it's easy. You don't have to spend much time. So
Yes, it's a really good advice, because if you are entering preview number 5, 6, 7, you already have an ID.
yes,
You only need to know what is changing, but you already know about the subject, so you understand what's the problem, what they try to improve. So,
right.
so those are really very good advice. Also with the 5 minutes, I also practiced it in the past, so it's a good advice, because if you are practicing it every day, then you remember what you have done. So it's much better than if you are just doing it once in a weekend and
Right. Right. And also, I wanted to like add to that. So, if you are doing the 5 minutes strategy, you are reading something for 5 minutes, and you got interest, and you are reading like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. don't break the streak. It's like a video game. Don't break the streak. So someday you might be tired, you don't have time. Then at least spend 5 minutes on that day. Force yourself to spend 5 minutes on that day so that you don't break the streak. And then the next day, if you have time, you can spend more. But make sure that every day you are like spending 5 minutes on a particular job.
Yes. Okay. As we are coming slowly to the end of this session, maybe this is the chance to ask last questions.
Yes, I'm open for questions. So this is my LinkedIn QR code, and I'm also active on X. You can reach me out there. So I'm happy to take questions here.
Very good. So everyone who has got questions, then you can reach out to Nitin. I don't see any questions right now from the audience.
Yeah, but I'd like to thank you, Nitin. I think it was very useful. Many new features, and I think Java it's evolving a lot. So thanks for sharing. I
Yeah,
think we
thanks.
all here learned something new, and this is very,
Thank you.
very
My
cool.
pleasure.
Yes. So thank you very much, Nitin, for today's session. So at least I was able to refresh my knowledge on Java, what's new, and it makes it even more interesting what's coming next. So thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you for having me.
And yes, if there are no other questions, so then I would like to thank and
This is your QR code, right? Nitin, for your newsletter.
Yeah, this is my QR code for the newsletter.
Can you share it here on the private chat so we can maybe share it in
Yeah.
the live chat? I think Chila, maybe we can stop sharing.
yes.
Yeah, no, it's better. And then maybe you can share the link with the audience so people can.
Okay.
So anyone that wants to keep updated, follow Nitin's newsletter.
I have just pasted it. Hopefully it will come in a second. If not, then I can try it once more. Yes, there might be a little bit of delay. Mhm. Yes, there is a little bit of delay, or it's the platform today that.
Bugs at the
Oh,
end.
yes, not yet, so it doesn't work today.
But it's okay. I think, yeah,
Yeah, I see a
I
lot
think
of that.
yes, I think it's fine. So if you
Now
want
it's
to
working.
stay updated with Java and learn more about the JAPs, follow Nitin's newsletter. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye.